Fixed Assets, Segment 2. In this training segment, you will learn how to set up fixed assets. Please note that this training segment assumes you already have a working knowledge of the Quantum Core modules. Assets are added through the Inventory module. Select the Inventory main menu and select Add. Enter the part number, description, manufacturer, and the serialized flag. Assets must be serialized. If you need more information about adding parts, please refer to Online Help Chapter 4. Select OK to save the asset record. Now we must flag the part as a fixed asset. Select Global, Fixed Assets to open the Fixed Assets Setup window. Select the flag Fixed Assets at the top of the window. Select the Accumulated Depreciation Account and the Depreciation Expense Account set up previously in the Chart of Accounts table. Position the cursor in the Accumulated Depreciation Account field and select F3 to open the Chart of Accounts. Find and select the appropriate account number by double-clicking on it once located. Repeat this process for Depreciation Expense Account. If the account numbers have not been set up previously, refer to Online Help Chapter 12 for information. Next, choose a category that may be used for reporting purposes. Categories, for example, may be shop equipment, computers, tools, etc. The depreciation method used by Quantum is Straight Line. Select the Table button and double-click on Straight Line. If the table is blank, select Add at the bottom of Table and add Straight Line. Next, enter the life of the asset in number of months. We will add 12 in the Asset Life field. The next two fields are populated from the Accounting Module Distributions table. If distributions are selected for sales and cost of goods, these account numbers override the default accounting setup for sales and income and cost of goods. Select the Table button to open the Distributions table, locate the distribution, and double-click to select it. The Assets field is the override to the default inventory account when you bring in the asset. This also uses the Accounting Module Distribution table. Lastly, we will populate the Adjustments field also selected from the Accounting Module Distributions table. This account overrides the default Inventory Adjustments account if you make a cost adjustment to the asset using the Stock Line Cost Adjustment feature. Let's click OK to save this data. Next, we will add the detail of the physical asset. Select Add Stock Line at the bottom of the window. You must receive the asset into Quantum. The standard receiving function is used for this process. Enter the number of assets to be received under this part number in the Total to Receive field. Enter a unit cost. This will become the acquisition cost. Next, enter the serial number. Select the Serial Number tab and enter the asset serial number for each asset. Select Receive to save the data. Notice now that a stock line has been added to the asset window. We will open the Asset Stock Line to review the differences between the Asset Stock Line and the Inventory Stock Line. Select the stock line number and select Inspect to open the Asset Stock Line. When we received the asset, we entered a unit cost of $2,500. Notice that the unit cost becomes the stock value, acquisition value, and net booked value. We entered the depreciation life of 12 months, so we notice that we have 12 depreciations remaining. If the asset is a tool, enter the tooling information in the area labeled Record of Tool. If the asset is a vehicle, enter related information such as VIN, license number, and insurance information at the upper right side of the window. Remember to select Edit to change or enter data to this window. The action buttons on the bottom of the window are the same as the action buttons on the Inventory Stock Line and may be used in the same way. If you need more information on these features, refer to Online Help Chapter 4. You may also bring the asset into stock through a purchase order. The standard purchase order and receiving features apply. However, if using Quantum Accounting, the receiving entry will credit accounts payable and debit the assets account rather than the default inventory account. Once the asset is received, you may edit the stock line to add any asset-specific information not captured on the receiving window. To recap what we have learned in this lesson, we learned how to add assets directly through inventory or through a purchase order. We learned how to edit the asset stock line. We reviewed the various areas on the asset stock line. We learned how to add the appropriate account numbers to the asset for integration with quantum accounting.